Oh, hi, I'm Nat Wallen, and I'm a realtor in Charleston, South Carolina. Thanks a lot for looking at my series of video tours on the Charleston, South Carolina area. This is pretty self explanatory. I just wanted to show you something on my website before the video starts. If you look down the right hand side at natwallen.com, you'll see all the different areas of town. So basically, if you're interested in a video tour of Mount Pleasant, then just click on Mount Pleasant and you will find about a 10-minute tour of the Mount Pleasant area. And also, you might want to look at these green buttons. What I've done is I've pre-built searches. So if you're looking for one-story homes, two-story homes, waterfront homes, etc., foreclosures, they're already pre-built and ready to go. So it's real simple and user-friendly. There you go. Enjoy the tour. Thanks a lot for visiting natwallen.com and happy house hunting.
Oh, hi, I'm Nat Wallen. Thanks a lot for taking my series of Google Earth Charleston video tours. I like to make these tours so I can help people that are coming in from out of town get acquainted with the area. And before we get started, I want to just show you a couple of things just to get kind of a lay of the land. This is downtown Charleston. The area to the right here is east of the Cooper or Mount Pleasant. The area above that is Daniel Island, and this is West Ashley here. And today we're going to tour James Island. Before we get started, let me just show you a couple of pictures of downtown Charleston. Beautiful place. We have, 4 million visitors a year here, and there's just a lot of history, lots to do in Charleston, and it's sort of an international destination, so lots of people come. And I would strongly encourage you to do the same if you're just kind of checking out different areas to live. So let's see. Before we get started, you may remember if you've taken the West Ashley tour that we started at the Round Holiday Inn. And I like to do this on these tours just to kind of give a point of reference. This is a cylindrical hotel that's very kind of iconic for the area. Everybody knows where it is. It's easy to get to, and I meet a lot of clients here. And instead of using the Round Holiday Inn as a point of reference, why don't we use the James Island Connector as a point of reference for the James Island tour? And just before we jump into that, again, this is downtown Charleston, and this is the James Island Connector that was built in the late 90s to connect James Island to downtown Charleston. Originally, the only way to get there would be to travel over the Ashley River Bridge, which is a drawbridge, and then through James Island, through West Ashley onto Folly Road, and then this is the Wapu Bridge, which is also a drawbridge. And this bridge would go up and down every hour, especially during the busy boating season, because this is the Intracoastal Waterway that basically connects or travels its way down the coast from the northeast all the way down to Florida. So they built this fixed bridge, and it's opened up the real estate market for James Island for the better. But before we go to James Island, let's just take a look at this area here. This is the Ripley Light Marina. It's across the Ashley River, and there are lots of big boats here. There are several condo and townhouse options here. And there's also a great restaurant. If you're coming in from out of town, California Dreaming. Show you a couple pictures here. Pretty place, great place to eat lunch. They have a great salad. And while we're in this area, let me just show you Porter-Gaud as well. This is a very popular private school, this area here. And it's sort of a staple amongst the handful of private schools in Charleston. Very easy access, and a pretty good amenity to be able to jump across a bridge and be in downtown Charleston in less than 3 minutes. So, when I make these tours, I kind of like to drive around and really think them through and kind of show how I want to present the area. And as I was driving across the connector here, shooting photos, I decided to take a chance, and I stopped right about here on the James Island Connector during rush hour traffic, and took a couple of photos because I thought it was a great way to get a perspective on the Intracoastal Waterway and just a nice view of Charleston. Before we, fully go to Folly Road, which is sort of the main road onto James Island, I'd like to take an exit off of Harborview Road. And just as the name suggests, Harborview kind of follows the perimeter of James Island here. And this is a great community owned by a friend of mine. He developed it. It's very small, but we've sold several properties in here, and they have the most incredible views of downtown Charleston. It's called Point Verona. Another small fact, I was born in Charleston, been here my whole life, and this was one of my childhood homes while I lived on James Island, this little point of land right here. And this is the Ellis Creek Bridge, and I'll show you a couple of pictures here. So there's just a lot of water, and even though James Island is not that big, it's basically this area here. It has a lot of water, so there's just quite a bit of waterfront property here. So let's move on down to Fort Johnson Road. Fort Johnson is another main kind of traffic line, and this is Harborview. So here's our connector. Here's downtown. Here's our connector. Here's Harborview Road, and Harborview ends at Fort Johnson. So we could take a right, and we could go down to the tip of the road, which is actually the Grice Marine Laboratory. Another small story, I guess he would be my cousin. His name was George Grice. He passed away a few years ago, and he was a very enthusiastic marine biologist, and he founded the Grice Marine Lab, hence the name, and lots of marine biologists work there. It's a pretty large facility. I'll show you a picture here of Fort Sumter from that perspective. And anyway, again, James Island has lots of water. This area here is called Eastwood, and it's a very shaded, very treed neighborhood, and the houses along the water here have incredible views of the harbor. And there's also a yacht club here. It's a private yacht club. You have to be a member. I don't think it's too terribly difficult to get in, but there's also a public park right next to it. So everybody in Charleston can enjoy it and see it. And I would strongly encourage you, if you're going to take a tour of James Island, don't just hit Folly Road and make a decision about whether you like James Island or not, because it's really a great place, and this would be a great park to go visit and have lunch and just enjoy the harbor views that are offered. So let's jump back onto Fort Johnson Road. And basically, James Island is an island. It was infilled starting in the 1950s, so you can imagine there are lots of 1960 ranches and 1970 homes, and many of them are updated. So there are not a lot of new communities on James Island as there might be, say, in Somerville or Mount Pleasant. But the yards have very mature trees, and there's lots of water around, and you may have to do some renovating, but there's nice yard space and mature landscaping, so that's certainly a plus. Fort Lamar is kind of over on this side of James Island. This is just one neighborhood area that I kind of picked out. And most of the houses are either older ranch-style homes here, or the homes that were built later are raised pier foundation houses. So the majority of James Island requires flood insurance, and the bottom of the first floor has to be 11 feet above sea level. And a lot of people think, oh gosh, every year the area is going to flood, and that's just not the case. But for example, a house on a raised pier foundation in a flood zone may have to pay $400 in insurance a year. So it's not a significant cost, but it is a variable of living on the coast. As we're heading out toward Folly, this is Folly Road here. Folly Road basically connects West Ashley, and it kind of traverses James Island, and it ends at Folly Beach, which is here. This is Oak Island, which is a small barrier island with water and views on both sides. And this is Little Oak Island, which is actually a gated community. And of course, we talked about Folly Beach. So let's go back to Folly Road. And we've kind of seen one side of James Island. And of course, this is a very broad brush perspective. But the other side of James Island is important to know about as well. So again, here's our James Island connector. Here's Harborview Road. If we were to continue on the connector, you notice that it would end right here at Folly Road. So take a left on Folly, and then you're well on your way out to Folly Beach. It takes about 10 minutes from this point to get to the beach. So nice, convenient location, James Island. There are two great amenities. One being close to downtown Charleston, and the other very, very close to the beach. So a lot of people choose James Island for those reasons. And to get back onto, let's take a look at James Island County Park, which is on the Riverland Drive side of James Island. So it's on the other side of Folly Road. And James Island County Park is a county-run, state-owned park, and they've got a great climbing wall there, and lakes and canoes, and even a campground. So that's kind of an interesting perspective there on the climbing wall. So nice amenity over there. And also, if you're into boating, and a lot of people are, first off, let's take a look at the Wapu Bridge. This, again, was that original bridge to James Island, and during the summertime, it would open every 45 minutes, so you can imagine how traffic was getting downtown. But this is a couple of views of the James Island Bridge and the Intracoastal Waterway. And there's a boat landing right here. And there's another boat landing not too far away in Riverland Terrace. And this is at the end of Plymouth Street. And here are a couple of pictures. You can almost throw a rock and hit West Ashley. That's kind of an exaggeration, but it's very close to West Ashley. So here's West Ashley. Here's James Island. Riverland Terrace is also a very sought-after, nice little pocket on James Island. It's very shady, just nice, charming homes, as you can see. And kind of an interesting fact, this is Wapu Drive, which is actually used to be the main avenue of oaks for McLeod Plantation. So the plantation would be worked, and they would grow their vegetables and livestock and things like that, and then they would harvest, and they would drive down to the river down their avenue of oaks, and they would ship them off to their consumers of the day. And the plantation, McLeod Plantation, is here. So this whole area used to be someone's driveway of beautiful draping oak trees. And here is the municipal golf course. It is a public course. It's very reasonable to play there. A lot of people walk it. It's a pretty good course. And it's easy access to downtown Charleston. Lastly, let me show you the bridge to Johns Island. So here's Maybank Highway, and while we're on this subject, this is also a pretty nice little hub. It's a little commercial district. There's a little art theater there, and some great restaurants, and several really just good little night spots in this area. So a lot of young people like this place here, and then here is the bridge to Johns Island. So you can see another marina here. This is actually Headquarters Plantation, which we'll talk about in the Johns Island tour. And then Johns Island, which is this basically this big area of farmland here. It's actually the fourth largest island on the East Coast. So if you're into horses or want to get out and have a little bit of green space and grow some vegetables, Johns Island's a good place to be, and you can also be very strategically located. So we'll take a look at that in another tour. And there you go. There's James Island. I'm sorry to be so quick. I just wanted to kind of give you, again, the broad brushstroke on what James Island has to offer. And thanks a lot for taking a look. And if I can do anything for you or answer any questions, just let me know. And again, I'm Nat Wallen, and happy house hunting. Thanks. Bye.